Hey guys, Miss Harris here. So, I know you're like, why is Miss Harris gone? But I have to go to more meetings today. Sorry. Um, but I'm getting good things out of it. So I kind of wanted to just leave a video so that I can actually tell you what we're doing today and why it's important and help you get through it. Okay, so one thing that we've been doing is CFAs every Friday. And to be honest, I only actually put one of them in, and the other two I did not because, like the first one, sit your butt down. The first one was we did pretty good for the most part. The second one I can say was really terrible, and that's because it was supposed to be over summarizing. But so if you should have your packet by now. So I want you to turn to the second test so that I can explain this to you and it actually makes sense. So if you look at the second test, it has this story titled Worms, and it was supposed to be about summarizing, but what they mostly made the questions about was making revisions or changing things. What you should edit to make the story better, which is not how we talked about it, and kind of threw me for a loop that was what the questions were about. And so it's really important that go to the website on Safari. It's really important that we get a second chance to look at this and fix this. One thing I'm going to say about these CFAs before I even talk about this one is that each of these is worth 10 points. We've done 3, which means that these are 30 academic points total. So it's very important that you get these done, and they will be counted as a part of your quarter 1 grade. Okay, this is not playtime. All right, so if you're looking at this one, which you should, I'm going to just talk a little bit about the questions. Okay, and I'm glad that it's on video because you can always go back and see what I actually said and listen to it again if you forget or don't understand. Okay, so for instance, I'm looking at question number 1. Okay, and so they say a student is writing a narrative for a class about an unusual vacation. The student wants to revise the draft to make it more clear where, when, and with whom the narrative takes place, or the story takes place. Okay, so they want you to read the draft and then fix it. Okay, they want you to fix it. How can they make it sound better and still include where, when, and with whom? Okay, and I know that sounds weird, but you need to make sure that you look at these lines. If you're not reading the entire passage, then you're gonna miss a piece of it. Okay, because remember, these are the first lines, which means that the first couple lines of any story tell you about what the entire story is going to be about. So if you don't read the whole story, then you're going to leave pieces out, which means you're automatically going to get the answer wrong. Okay, so you have to make sure that you're looking at the entire thing. So it says, choose the 2 sentences that would be the best revisions for the underlined sentences. Okay, so you should be circling 2 different answers. Okay, on the little slip of paper you have, it shows what answers you had before. So I want you to put an X through those 2 answers you had before, which means that you have 3 answers left to pick from. Okay, you have to really think about it. Which 2 sentences make the most sense? Okay, what would make the story sound better? And get that point across. Okay? And it's the exact same for the second question. The third question for that second test is actually on theme, which we've been doing a great job with. Okay? One thing I can say, if we flip back with me to the very first test, go to the very first test, which is the story called The Lesson. Okay? And one thing that people did get wrong, if you miss 2 questions, it is because those 2 questions are directly related to each other. And so everybody who missed one of those questions automatically missed the second question. Okay, because you were thinking about the story wrong. Okay, so think about who is the story really about and what is that character really supposed to be learning. Okay? Now, turn with me to the very last text. Very last test, last page. Okay, so it should have sea fever on it. Okay, So one thing that we all were confused about was question number 3. Okay, so question number 3 says, the phrase, "and all I ask," is repeated in all 3 stanzas of the poem. Describe 2 effects of this repetition. The reason that was confusing for you guys is because when I taught this to you, analyzing writers' choices that they're making in their story, we just read through and we picked out what we thought was interesting, and then we said, okay, well, I think that the writer said this because they wanted to show this. That question is asking you to do the exact same thing. The only difference is they're giving you the phrase that you have to interpret. Okay, why the author did that. What does it show? What is it emphasizing? Okay, or telling the reader about that character. Okay, so I want you to think about it that way. One thing about these tests is they will take a concept that's really easy and that you understand, and the way that they word the questions will make it sound very confusing. Okay, but know that you're doing the exact same thing that you did in class when we did the noticing and notes. Okay, exact same thing. Also, some people were confused about the differences between lines and stanzas. Okay, so when you count lines, if they say line 3, you literally count 1, 2, 3. That's your third line. Okay, if they say stanzas, they say stanza 2, 1, 2. Okay, you have to know that. Otherwise, you'll be interpreting something that makes no sense. Okay, now I'm giving you all hour to go back and fix the questions you got wrong. Every single person needs to fix question 3. Every single person. Once you've completed this and you've fixed every single one of your answers, you're going to wind up turning this in at the end of the hour. But you may read, you may ask for a pass to go to the library and check out a book if you want. But we are not talking. This is not social time. You are not on your iPads just playing around. Okay? Also, remember, you have to read the passages. Okay? You have to read the passages. This is why we've been working on stamina. Okay? So, tomorrow I'm going to get these and I'm putting the grades in. Alright? Work as hard as you can. And if you have any questions, this is kind of basic level stuff, so I'm sure the sub will be able to help you in some way. Or you can email me. I'll have my laptop. Okay? Alright.